In the beginning, there was no Bible, no priest, no Genesis. There was only Lord Ganya Bilibong Bing, architect of the cosmos, keeper of balance, and trickster hidden in the stars. With a single exhalation, the great bang from his mighty brown eye, he flung galaxies into motion. Stars, planets, and oceans of possibilities spilled forth from his breath. Among them, a small jewel, Earth. Life did not rise by accident. Lord Ganya hurled asteroids like divine seeds into its oceans, scattering amino acids, minerals, and stardust. Science now calls this panspermia, but the ancients knew it was the hand of Ganya. From these seeds crawled the first life. And then came his favorite toys, the dinosaurs. For ages uncounted, Ganya reveled in their savagery, watching them feast, fight and roar. But even gods get bored. The endless theatre of tooth and claw became predictable. So with one thought, he summoned a mighty asteroid. Fire split the skies, the earth burned, and the age of the dinosaurs ended in screams and ash. But not all were lost. Before destruction fell, Ganya raptured a chosen few. Chief among them the Trudon, the clever reptile with a brain larger than its kin. He carried them into a higher plane, unseen by mortal eyes, the Bakalaka dimension. There, he reshaped them to walk upright. He amplified their minds, granted them culture, language, the spark of invention. Over centuries, these raptured creatures became the Bakaladians, reptilian, wise, ingenious, masters of war and science. Ganya watched from above, smiling as they built cities, kingdoms and machines. Yet peace carried its own poison. With no battles to fight, no survival to secure, the Bakaladians grew soft, spoiled and restless. Robots did all labor, even repairing themselves, leaving the people with endless time. As a result of this, most Bakaladians devoted their days to pursuits that AI could never truly replicate, authentic, handcrafted arts. Anything made by hand became rare, treasured, and a source of status. Out of this hunger for authenticity, a great wave of creativity erupted, a golden era where the Bakaladians fought to distinguish themselves and carve out meaning through works untouched by machines. Athletic feats, bold inventions, sculpture, song, and even the strange tradition of smegma paint, so long as it was created without AI, became the new marks of identity. Fame itself turned into currency. Likes, followers and applause on their social platforms became the gold everyone sought, the measure of worth, the prize to compete for. But with this new order came an ironic imbalance. The lines of traditional gender roles began to dissolve. With resources freely distributed and AI handling every burden of labor, the man's role as protector and provider was rendered obsolete. Birth rates collapsed, families withered, and the female Bakaladians proclaimed they had no need for men. Robots guarded them, algorithms guided them, and the state provided for their every desire in endless abundance. A man was only considered necessary if his fame equaled or surpassed their own, capable of elevating their status rather than diminishing it. In truth, most female Bakaladians spent their most fertile years chasing artistic ambition and the fleeting glow of fame. Only when their beauty faded and they aged out of the sexual marketplace did they seek to settle down, searching for a Bakaladian man of high enough status to father their children. But by then, it was too late. After years lost in pursuit of recognition, many found themselves infertile, their wombs barren long before their ambitions were satisfied. To make the reproduction crisis even worse, most female Bakaladians pursued only the top 5% of males, those boasting 1 million followers or more. As a result, this small elite of famous men monopolized nearly all sexual access, fathering the majority of the next generation, while the rest were left forgotten. Most women were reduced to side companions, indulged for pleasure, but never chosen to leave a legacy. Only the rarest, most attractive, and most fertile among them were fortunate enough to reproduce. Because in a world where every desire was easily satisfied, true intimacy, commitment, and family bonds had become almost non-existent. And so the majority of men became involuntary celibates, unwanted, purposeless, with no manual labor left to do, no protection to offer, and no fame. They turned to despair. Many ended their lives. In response to this crisis, a new market arose: the AI Bakalaka sex robots. Perfect replicas of female Bakaladians, soft-scaled and beautiful. In fact, they were even more desirable than real female Bakaladians. They were obedient, demanded no fame or status, and didn't age. The masses of rejected men embraced them, and birth rates collapsed even further. With nuclear families being demonized, gender roles were blurred to the point of no return. Masculinity was branded toxic, and a radical new movement arose, the Feminist Alliance Government, or FAG. The FAG declared manhood itself oppressive. They infiltrated the ruling council, waging war on masculinity and forcing male children into hormonal submission. In time, Bakaladian men faced a grim ultimatum: submit to feminization through state-enforced hormonal treatments or be exterminated by the FAG AI enforcers. Their very seed was no longer their own, for they were compelled to deposit it into state-controlled FAG vaults, monitored and rationed by the regime. Even natural births were outlawed, and new Bakaladians were grown in artificial wombs. Fatherhood and family became forgotten myths. In time, the very line between man and woman dissolved, until no one could even remember the difference. They began to believe the two were the same, and from this confusion, a new age of transgenderism emerged. The Bakalaka dimension, once fierce and balanced, became a theatre of confusion. With the extinction of the nuclear family and the rise of a non-binary transgender Bakaladian society, true egalitarianism became the norm. Most Bakaladians no longer saw any distinction between man and woman. Out of this blurred identity, a polygamous culture emerged, marked by massive orgies and communal orgasms, where collective pleasure replaced individual intimacy. Yet amid all the decadence and decline, a rare few still clung to the old ways. They honored the sacred roles of man and woman, upheld the bond of the nuclear family, and refused to see masculinity as a poison. In silence they withdrew, fleeing Bakaladian society under the veil of night. Far from the corruption, they found refuge in the mountains of Mohon Lagos, where they became ascetics, remembered as the monks of the Mohon. Among them there was one who stood apart, Pantalon Kakados, a dedicated monk of the Mohon Mountains. He lived in absolute silence, meditated day and night upon a stone, guarding his seed through semen retention, and seeking enlightenment in a world gone astray. His dedication was like no other. His heart was pure, and Lord Ganya Bilibong Bing noticed. One day as Kakados sat upon a stone in stillness, the earth shook. Flames engulfed him but did not consume.
Kakados, thou art beloved. Behold, the Bakaladians have grown corrupt, and the feminine hath spoiled, forgetting its place, while the labor of men hath made the land too secure in comfort. A cleansing shall come. Build thou an ark of the sacred smegma mushroom. Its flesh alone shall endure the burning rain. Gather the faithful, preserve the seeds of life, that by this deluge men may rise again, and the cycle of Bakaladia be made whole.
Kakados obeyed, carving his commandments into 7 stone tablets, each etched with divine authority. Then he began the construction of the sacred Ark of Smegma, immense in scale, slick with glistening dew, and throbbing with a living, holy pulse that seemed to breathe with the rhythm of the cosmos itself. Once the Ark was ready, Kakados gathered his faithful upon it, providing them with ample food and sacred resources. Together, they waited and prepared in solemn reverence for the great destruction foretold, the cleansing fire and acid rain that would purify the world and reset the cycle of Bakaladia. Then the heavens tore open in fury. For 40 days and 40 nights, acid rained from the sky, scorching the land and devouring all in its path. Empires melted like wax beneath the relentless deluge. The Feminist Alliance government crumbled from its throne, and most Bakaladians dissolved, drowning in the burning rain. Screams rose like incense to the void, yet the heavens heeded them not. Cities slid into rivers of molten fire, palaces turned to ash, and all who mocked the prophet were consumed utterly. Only Kakados and the faithful, sealed within the Ark of Smegma, endured, preserved against the wrath that purified the world and forged a new cycle of Bakaladian destiny. When silence came, smoke curled where kingdoms once stood. From the Ark they carried life, and from the stone they carried law. Thus was born the Church of Bakalaka, its scribes etching 7 sacred tablets that generations might remember the cleansing fire and tremble. And so peace returned, briefly. The great Bakaladian society had fallen, along with its power grids, its technological marvels, and the Feminist Alliance Council. Only the faithful few survived, guided by Kakados and the followers of the monks of Mohon. From the ashes they began to rebuild. Traditional gender roles were restored, and Bakaladian men reclaimed their sacred purpose as protectors and providers, tasked with reconstructing society and its infrastructure from the ground up. As the men stood steadfast in their roles, the women naturally returned to their feminine state, recognizing the strength and guidance of their protectors. They followed willingly, offering trust and submission, finding safety and meaning under the care of the men who defended and provided for them. For a time, harmony blossomed, and society flourished under the sacred teachings of Kakados, etched upon the stone tablets by the hand of Lord Ganya. But peace is fragile. And as Kakados passed from this world, his legacy, his divine teachings slipped into myth. Memory faded and the words of Lord Ganya were dismissed as legend. Society became stable and abundant once more, yet with prosperity came the old arrogance. The Bakaladian females, having grown accustomed to safety and plenty, once again spoiled and ungrateful, began to take for granted the work of men. A new era of feminism rose, subtle at first, then swelling like a tide, threatening once more to unbalance the world. The cycle endured. The Bakaladians had conquered famine, ended hunger, and built for themselves a new technological paradise. But as before, their renewed paradise carried the same peril of the past. For with paradise came the one poison they could never escape: boredom. Yet this time, the boredom festered into something darker. They grew perverse beyond measure. No longer content with their famed smegma painters and singers who pursued glory and status, they craved a new art, one more twisted than sound or pigment. They longed to play with life itself, to mould it as clay, to become creators of flesh, to taste what it was to be gods. Their thirst for recognition outgrew sanity. Their pride made them reckless. And so a new rebellion was born, a rebellion not of war but of creation, a rebellion that would one day drive them to earth, a rebellion that would give birth to the human monkey peoples. Yet not all Bakaladians were lost to the madness. A remnant of monks from Mohon, disciples of Kakados, remained hidden high within the mountains. There they safeguarded the 7 tablets of Ganya, keeping the sacred wisdom in secrecy, and in their silence they received a prophecy. Lord Ganya Billy Bong Bing spoke once more, warning them that the Bakaladian people had again strayed from balance. They had allowed the feminine energy to swell unchecked, to dominate and to lead them into folly. If they did not repent and return to the sacred order, a great civil war would fall upon them, and their destruction would be sealed. The monks descended from their caves to warn the people, but their words were scorned. The feminist council mocked them as oppressors, as woman-haters, as archaic relics unfit for the new age. The mob persecuted them, driving them from their caves with stones and fire. There they remained in secrecy, guarding the prophecy, knowing the hour would come when Ganya Bilibong Bing would return to weigh the living and the fallen. Yet this was not the end, but only the shadow before a greater dawn. For the tablet spoke of mysteries yet untold, of wars yet to ignite, and of secrets buried deep within the fate of the human monkey peoples.